Hi, this is Marie. I'm one of your marker pop colorists. I have a mini tutorial for you today. Today we're going to be using a color combo I like to call Pistachio. G46, G43, and G40. I'll be discussing a natural color family today, and I believe that phrase was coined by Marianne Walker. And we're going to talk about intensity and value, just to get you more comfortable with it. We'll be using Express It paper, stamped with Memento Tuxedo Black, a dye ink that is compatible with your Copics or your Shinhan. My image today is Wendy's Bouquet. It's a stamp by Candybean stamp by Little Darlings. I stamped my image on some scratch paper, and that way I can look and establish my highlight. Ours will be coming from the front on this image, and also we can play around with where you want any folds in the skirt or texture, anything you want. Just use your scratch paper and play around with it. You will not want to block this out on your good Copic paper because you will kind of discolor your nibs. So play around on your scratch. Just block out where you want your folds. This will be your choice, any place you want, any direction you would like them to fall, provided it would give it a natural look, if that's what you're going for. And now just keep that image close by at hand for reference. And I like to always start on my images with my skin tone. And I keep my little scratch paper next to me. And I'm coloring in with my base coat just in a small area like the bow or the sleeves to just start with. But you'll notice that unlike my usual coloring, when I'm doing folds, I will not be coloring in my entire base coat. We have talked about that, allowing for smooth blending, but if you're putting in folds, it's sometimes easier to leave or reserve your white until the very end, and you can get some really good depth in those folds. So I'm just going to begin by mapping where I want my folds, and I'm using my reference guide that I've sketched out with pencil. And I'm just applying those. That way, if I do want to change, I can have that opportunity to kind of switch my fold out a little using my very light highlight color. And now we're going to switch and darken that highlight area, not quite as extensive, but applying some mid-tone, our G43. Now when we talk about a natural blending family for your marker that you want for your main color, a natural blending family will keep the same color, the same. The letter G would remain the same for a natural blending family. And then for your shadow, you'll want a couple shades, 2 or 3, darker, and for your highlight, 2 to 3 shades lighter. We're going to darken those areas up a little with our shadow side. You'll notice if my mid-tone is G43, I'm keeping that first letter after the color the same. They are all 4s. In a natural blending family, you will keep the letter of the color the same, and the first number. That first number will be what we would call our intensity. It's kind of like the clarity as opposed to how much gray is in your color combo. A natural blending family will keep that the same. Now, not all color combos are natural blending families. Now, the second, or the last, I should say, number is what we call your darkness or your lightness of a color, your value, and that will become darker as you move up on your very last number of your color combo. In this case, it would be the 6. And you see how our little folds are fitting in. I like to rework my folds many times over, just coloring and expanding those folds. Pretty soon you'll notice they start almost touching. So when we're working with natural blending families, we want to make sure that we do have the first letter the same, and the first number after the letter the same. And then on our value, our darkness or lightness, we'll go 2 to 3 on either side of our mid-tone. We'll talk more about this next week in a little more detail. And we just keep reworking our image. I like to start many times mapping with my highlight, then adding my mid-tone, and then adding my darkest. And then I just keep reworking that. I then go from my darkest, sometimes back down to my mid-tone, and extend it out, blending outward with my highlight. But I don't take my highlight directly over where I have colored with my dark. I blend from the outer edge, extending it up. Because, you know, light colors will move the darker colors, and you may get a blotchy appearance if you try to keep coloring light over the top of dark. And when you're using your light color, also frequently clean off the nib with your little scratch paper on the side. You don't want to transfer. Just keep working from your outer edge in little flicking motions, extending them until your folds just begin to meet. Then cleaning off your nibs when you're for your very final step of your folds, cleaning off that very lightest highlight, and then lightly going over the top will give you just the very lightest hint of your green, so that your fold won't totally be white in the center. You'll always have a little bit of a hint of your main color that you're using there. But again, that's up to you. Some colorists really do like to have white for that. I do on occasion for certain things, but for a fold in fabric, I would like to have just a hint of the color I'm using. We're coloring in her little ribbon at this time, or her bow, getting the little shadows in that fold in the very deepest part of her bow, and flicking outward. You know, this technique will work with your Copics, it works with your Shinhan, but your coloring system or numbering system for your combos are a little different with Shinhan. But if you do have some Shinhan markers or vice versa, you know they're totally compatible together. You can really increase your color combos by using colors from the two systems. The numbering is just a little different, but you do have colors that are almost identical. And there you have it. I chose to do the dress before I do the red flowers because red is really tricky and I don't want to transfer any red into my green, so I'll do my red after I do the dress. I hope you like this. Give it a try. Play around with natural blending families. If you see this on YouTube, I hope you like, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you.